Autocar Professional Trends podcast, and here we are in the beginning of May talking about April and spotting the trends for you. And I have with me industry expert Mr. Arun Malhotra. Arun, so very surprising April. Everybody expected March to be very good, but people were expecting that April maybe market will take a little breather, but no breather. It is still full steam.
You're right, Mugdha, there's no breather. April has done exceptionally well. And in passenger vehicles, if you look at it, the figure of 4,45,000 dispatch, which is a lakh more than last year, about 30% more, is a phenomenal performance. And it's also backed by retails. One figure is also good. They're looking 4 lakhs. So overall, April has been a great month for passenger vehicles.
Definitely. In fact, even for two-wheelers, it has been pretty good.
Absolutely. For two-wheelers, not to the same extent as passenger vehicles, but yes, about 30.
But that's also because of two-wheelers having a larger base last year. If you remember last year, when we started the year, it was the demand was pretty low. So then the jump in PV, especially in PV, demand was pretty low.
So, one thing which will be interesting to see, the first 6-month base is low for passenger vehicles.
Yeah.
And that's why there was 0% growth vis-a-vis the same period to the previous year.
Yeah.
The real challenge will come when we come to October. And since you talked of April was a very good month, nobody expected it to be a bad month.
Yeah.
But people didn't expect it to be such a good month.
Yeah, exactly.
And now when you look back, the factors which are there, one, clearly, even by the end of March, the dealer inventory was not high. Yeah. It was about 20 days stocks. And there was still pull, or I would say certain models which were on waiting, whether variants or this thing. That extent, when you went into April, you had certain parts of waiting. Second thing is important is that there was a major price hike expected from passenger vehicle manufacturers. Actually, the hike has been very, very minimal. It's been to the tune of 1.5%, 1-2%. Ideally, it should have been 4 to 5% looking at the supply chain issues which are there. And third, one thing important this year, which a lot of people who track the rural market, they say this year, the marriage season in India has been very strong because there's no marriages from end of May till November. So the concentration of marriages in April was very high, which affects the Hindi heartland to a large extent, and also the rural market. So these factors played positively as far as is concerned. But it will be a different picture as we enter into May and June.
Clearly, no impact of the geopolitical issues till now on the demand. But now, as we enter May, most likely there will be a fuel price increase, and that may. What is your assessment? Will that impact the demand?
People know that there will be a fuel price increase. To that extent, it is factored in. There will be increase. At least has to be 5 to 6%. I mean, if you see in countries like US, it increases 25-30% in gas. I'm not saying that's an increase.
I think lots of people are expecting that it will be to the tune of 20% at least.
I think even if it's 10, 15, 20%, it'll be in phases. I don't think the government will go one in it 5 to 6%. But I think that's an important part. But I think one thing it clearly shows that our economy is reliant, self-dependent. Our rural market is kicking. And we are fairly insulated from the international market unless it impacts through supply chain constraints. Yeah. So there's inherent demand is still very strong in this country. And it's not only figured in passenger vehicles. If you look at whether it's passenger vehicles, whether it's two-wheelers, even three-wheelers and commercial vehicles have a double-digit growth. And even tractors have that 15% growth. So it is a secular demand. It's across the board. So it's not one segment or one particular thing. So that's a positive part of it.
All right. Now let's talk about some of the segments. What's interesting to see in April, that the small car segment, the dispatch figures are quite encouraging. Maruti has shown very good dispatch figures. We were listening to Maruti's con call as well, and they were saying that Bhargav-san said that the revival of the small car market is imminent.
The mini compact segment, which has gone to 15,000 Maruti this month, it's still, even within Maruti's portfolio, is less than 6 to 7%. So there's a long way to go. But I think what is important is the GST benefit which is given to sub 4 meter vehicles. Whether you take vehicles in the Tata portfolio, even the Nexon or the Punch which are there, and then the entire Maruti portfolio, starting from in models which are Alto and Espresso, but leading up to Swift, Desire, Baleno, and Frogs. So I think that 4 meter thing, which is the 18% GST, is still having that pull and impact.
But my view on that is a little different, which is the impact on really small segment wasn't so high because it's a percentage figure. So in total, it doesn't impact as much. Higher, this sub 4 meter SUV segment really benefited because there the ticket size is a little high, so percentage terms becomes a little more significant impact. Now I wanted to speak about the new entrant, new product in the market, which is the Duster. Renault has seen almost 100% increase in their sales volume in their dispatches. But how do you assess the response to Duster? Because Renault is basing a lot of their future in India on Duster.
You're absolutely right. Their dependence on Duster is very high, and the whole campaign is Duster is back. But the only two things we'll have to see. First of all, they've done 5,000, which includes not only Duster, which includes other models. So Duster, I don't know the exact figures, but will not be more than 1,000, 1,500, the way I see it. So the percentage increase shows higher. I think the real impact will show when the product is available in the market to such an extent, which is that it makes difference. One thing we must remember, the mid-size SUV segment is a very competitive segment, and it has got more competitive day by day. If you had the Creta and the Seltos before, and now Seltos has come as an upgrade, it's a different Seltos altogether. And now you have the Tata Sierra, and now you have the Maruti Victoris, although you would say that it's a slightly low price model. So that segment is a very, very competitive segment. So if you have to make a dent in it, you have to do a substantial dent. So that has to be seen. So at this moment, I'll reserve my judgment on Duster because the vehicles available in the market are very low. The real impact will be seen when we have 2-3 months in the market and where the product is available and customers make a switch from one brand to the other.
Now let's talk about electric vehicles. Mass market players had a good growth, and even luxury players saw good growth. So across the board, I think good numbers.
So one thing which has to be noted is that in the month of April, the retails of EVs has been to the tune of 23,500.
Yeah.
Which is exactly the same as March. Generally, people said March was a scheme was ending or the major discounts.
And so, depreciation benefits for businesses.
So you can see the momentum is such that in no other product category today, April has done very well, but it has not caught up with March. Whereas in passenger EVs, it is the same figure. And 20,000, and the 2-3 trends which I'm observing, which are imagined, for the first time, otherwise it used to be a 3-horse race. It was basically Tata, MG, and Mahindra, which is there. Tata is clearly ahead. MG, Mahindra has slightly moved the slot. But 2 products more have moved to the 1,000+ slot. VinFast has gone to 1,200, and e-Vitara has done.
Yeah.
So it's becoming even more broad-based. And this West Asia crisis where people talk of fuel and with EVs, and now we're talking of CAFE norms and other things, it's propelling. And let me tell you, there are no clear benefits on EV as such. It never was there, but there was some fleet benefit that don't exist. So to that extent, it is a very good performance. And we used to talk of 10, 12,000. Now I think 20, 22,000 is given. And the way things are, I'll stick my neck out. In the festival season, we might see 30,000.
Yeah, I think now the penetration has reached 5.7%. But what is interesting to note is that despite West Asia crisis being given the reason behind it, but
there is
in ICE, West Asia crisis did not impact. But in this, so that means there is inherent demand, and that demand is getting distributed between the two segments. If you see ICE and
then with more models of EV available with more players, that also creates a better ecosystem. Now, Maruti is also coming whole hog. VinFast is coming there. BYD is there. Plus your BMW, and they are there. So clearly there are models, and even Kia is there. So it's becoming more broad-based. And the concerns on charging and this are getting less. Although Rome was not built in a day, we can't expect it to jump to 15-20%, but it's moving up.
What's surprising and what's something that I want to discuss is the rise of VinFast. I mean, they have actually done more figures than Maruti. You would imagine that Maruti being such a um, such an important and such a big company in the country would do a better figures than VinFast. But VinFast, which is an absolutely new company in the country, and yet it has at least in this month
So,
gone ahead of Maruti.
Maruti to give VinFast has still been in the market for about 8-10 months in the market. They've gone from 200, 300, 500. Maruti, if you really take it, this is the first effective month of retails of Maruti. The dispatches happened in March. So I don't think the figures are fairly comparable. Probably by June or July, we'll have a better comparison.
My intention here is not to compare Maruti and VinFast. I wanted to highlight how significant the growth is for VinFast, because nobody knew that brand before maybe a year or two.
Absolutely, you're absolutely right. VinFast was an unknown brand, and Vietnam, as a country of origin for automobile, was not known. Like Korea is known, Japan is known. Country of origin for automobiles. It's maybe a great country. So to that extent, I think they've slowly built up strongly, and they built up their network also clearly, and their products are at that sweet spot, the great price value equation. So they're doing well. I mean, there's no.
But my question is it a novelty factor, or what is your assessment? How?
No, I think people who are taking this vehicle, I mean, they are finding some great value in it in terms of styling, power, performance, price. They got the right, just the combination. Although it's a competitive market, I mean, Indian players are there, Tata is there, MG is there. They come out with more models, probably even more models, but it's a good start from there.
Yeah, definitely very good start for them. Let's talk about EV two-wheelers as well. Again, good
two-wheelers.
performance.
Yeah, two-wheelers as such is done well also.
Yeah.
Well, two-wheelers have, if you look at total two-wheelers, I mean, this one dispatches are about 19 lakhs, which is great. I mean, it's a growth of about 14-15% over last year. And in two-wheelers, surprisingly, the retail also has been 19 lakhs. So retail and wholesale are matching. There's no increase in stock. Although two-wheelers are more rural, selling at rural market has performed very well.
Yeah.
But I think it's a very good figure of 19 lakhs you're starting from the first month. That's a great figure to start with.
And what about EVs? They also seem to have done pretty well.
EVs again, like passenger vehicles, EV I think are, and although I keep saying that EV, the biggest challenge is that's only in scooters at this point of time, which is just 1/3 of the market. But touching a 150,000 figure in retail terms in April is commendable. Again, there were some exemptions or some benefits which are being withdrawn from April, in spite of that 150. And what I hear, I think where two-wheelers EVs score over passenger EVs is two-wheelers EVs today, the main brands, they are virtually hand to mouth, which is not the case in passenger. If you go to a dealership, whether it's a TVS, they don't have stocks. So this 150 is happening, it's not a push thing. Whereas in passenger EVs, I would still say there are stocks available and there are schemes available. EVs generally have no scheme. So I think that point is being reached in scooters especially. And I think that the benefit or the range anxiety or the reach anxiety is going. But it's a long way to go, but it's a great start. 1.5 lakhs on a consistent basis is a great, and the penetration can only go up. Again, I'll stick my neck out. We are going to have 2 lakhs by September, October.
I think, for EV, definitely this year is going to be of good growth. The shift might happen in PV where people shift a little bit more towards EVs.
But two-wheeler will be this thing. And two-wheeler, the price point is also the same. The EV starting points are 1 lakh, and even the other starting scooters and motors, they're also at 1 lakh.
Pretty similar. So
the shift is could be more rationally better in two-wheelers. And if you can get a good motorcycle from one of the main top 5 brands, then the sky's the limit.
I also want to discuss E85 fuel that government has proposed, and social media is very jittery about E85. So let's discuss that a little bit. First of all, let's highlight that E85 is not the fuel that you will fill in your tanks. That's going to be a different fuel for flex fuel vehicles.
So, it's still a draft proposal getting incorporated in the Motor Vehicle Act.
Yeah.
And there is, everybody knows that our 90% dependence on imported oil is there, and all these crises only brings out much more with oil barrel prices being something like $125 a barrel, which used to be hardly 85.
Yeah.
So to that extent, it's a real concern. But moving to 85 will have a lot of 3-4 challenges which are there. I mean, one clearly is that the money which the oil companies will have to spend, because when you do E85, you'll have to have different dispensing storage,
pipeline, different storage,
dispensing
different
stations,
different pumping stations.
as a, and then the vehicle architecture, or the, you can say, the homologation of the vehicle, which are the typical petrol vehicles, will have to be very different.
Yeah.
The way for E20 it was much simpler. There is a cost benefit element to it also. And third element is customers. If you go to E85, your density or the fuel efficiency will drop by 20-25%. So will the government compensate it by a lower price, which they didn't do in E20? That will be an important point. And last but not the least, the supply chain of raw material. We are talking about sugarcane, maize leading to it. Do we have a steady, solid, dependable supply chain which leads to it? So there are failures. The customer as angle is very important, because customer says, "Why should I?"
On that point, I must give you some inputs, which is, first of all, our ethanol production in India is not very cheap. Compared to the
Brazil.
landing price of crude now, because it's already gone up so much, it will look cheap. But if you talk about 6 months back, ethanol and petrol prices were pretty much on parity. I think our ethanol production is 75 to 80 rupees per liter. So when the petrol price is 110 or something, it makes sense. But otherwise, it gets difficult for government to give any benefit, because they are themselves not accruing any benefit. In fact, they have to pay in the entire supply chain MSP. They have to pay so to the farmer.
So as Mukta, you're mentioning, it's a very long-term game. I think it's very early days.
That's what I wanted.
We are in a marathon race. We've just crossed 400 meters. The marathon race is 26 miles.
Actually, we have just
started
and said that we will run the marathon.
So it's a good point for discussion, or a good point for doing, but I don't think it's going to impact the market at all in the next 2 years.
And the second point, which was what the infrastructure development itself will take few years. Now let's also talk about what are you expecting in terms of demand from here on. What is your assessment? How will the demand trajectory go on from here? Of course, West Asia crisis poses a big threat, both in terms of sentiment, in terms of costs going up, and in terms of supply chain issues.
So let's put the demand in 3-4 buckets. One bucket is, as I mentioned, was we had a very, very strong marriage season and harvest season, with the benefits of which have accrued in April. That marriage season ends on 15th May, so you don't have the benefit of that. Second is there are very clear signals of the El Niño effect, and the rainfall is expected to be about 8%, 7 to 8% lower. So, and we are still a very rural-based economy to that extent, so it can impact adversely. Third is there are input costs, which prices have gone up, but this would be a normal price increase of 1.5%. I still believe there is a lot of costs which, if you talk to auto component, which has gone up, which has still not been passed to the manufacturers, to the customers. That is also there. And fourth, as was mentioned, is the fuel price hike. So you have these headwinds which are there, which one has to keep in mind. So it's not going to be as rosy as this thing. Each of these challenges can be tackled separately. Let's see. But the best is slightly behind us. That's what I would say.
The best is slightly behind us, but no year has ever started with a completely rosy picture. There are always headwinds, and industry does soldier on.
And you see, look at it. The demand is still there. Dealers want vehicles. Even when after all this record sales, you talk to dealers, they say, we didn't get this vehicle, we didn't get this vehicle.
Yeah.
So that's a very, very positive sign, which has never been in April. I've never seen this in April in my last 2 decades at all. That's the way it's unique.
So the balance is right now very evenly spread out.
Let's hope it continues that way. Let's hope.
There's demand side pull, and there are headwinds as well.
Yeah.
Well, let's hope the next month is also exciting and comes up with great numbers. Yeah. Thank you so much, Arun, for taking time out and speaking to us. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very much.